Ezra, you've been my accountant for 7 years. In that time, I have entrusted to you a comprehensive knowledge of the inner workings of my organization. Information that really only a select few have. Imagine how I felt when I found my missing $2 million. Wait, guess where I found it? In one of your offshore accounts.
Leonard, let me explain.
Oh, what could possibly be the reason that you'd betray my trust?
In the 10 years since we've been open, we have never had a crowd this big.
You do realize that's a real dead body, right?
I know. It's amazing. I mean, how many Hans can say death came through their doors?
Mr. Carter, we need to know when the deceased first appeared on your property. Do you have any idea?
Not really. I mean, we're open year-round, and I give my people a lot of creative freedom to swap out props and gag. You got to keep it fresh. My assistant can answer.
Tell us where he's headed.
He'll follow that Chris Evans to the gates of hell.
And leave you here to rot. Huh. Guess he picked himself another brother.
That all?
Tell me about Molly Evans.
What has she got to do with it?
Well, George, I suppose my question is this. How much does Chris Evans love his wife?
So, you ladies are looking for a license for these bees' knees? It's a terrible name.
It's actually pronounced.
I truly
Viz.
could not care less. The test will consist of 2 parts, written and practical. There are 79.3 possible points and a score of 42.1. Repeating is necessary to pass.
Why is it
79.3. It's the Cox Frackley error.
Still talking out of turn, Miss Freckles.
To another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. I am your host, Tre Mosley. Well, I told him pre-record that I was going to try not to fanboy out. So I'm doing my best to keep composed. Most of you Resident Evil fans know him as Albert Wesker. I played a little game.
Oh.
Called... See, already I'm flubbing.
I'm interested now. I love it that it's not Resident Evil. Go on.
I played a little game called Mass Effect.
Yeah, baby.
And, as someone who wanted to get into this industry, I'm the guy that watches the credits.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, who was Shepard? Who was this? But one of my favorite characters, and if you play the game, you'll understand why, is Legion. Yeah. So I was like, when I reached out, I'm like, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes.
Oh.
And he did, and I am very, very happy. And
you and I have followed each other on Instagram for a while, haven't we?
I know it's been some years. So
I see your stuff all the time. So I'm like, I know Tre. Somehow I know Tre. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
So I ain't got nothing else to say, man. DC Douglas is on the show, y'all.
That's really cool. Yeah, Mass Effect's a beautiful trilogy. I'm really crossing my fingers that I'll be in the next one, because that poster that they put out really hinted heavily that Geth would be back in it. So
yeah,
and if it's the same timeline, not going back in time, then the Geth talk would, and I'm the voice of all the Geth, so that means I would be back. So
exactly.
Yeah, but
put him in the game. Put him in.
But I will say this. I usually say I cannot confirm nor deny, but I can pretty much confirm I have not been contacted. So, but I don't know where they are in the production of it either. Also, Legion would probably be the last person they would need to call to come in, since there's no mouth to mocap or any of that. It's just voiceover. So,
but still, I think I love a good game, but I love a good story. And that's one thing that Mass Effect had, was a great story. But fun fact, the reason I know you more for Legion than Wesker, I've never played Resident Evil.
Well, there's a bit of it's like a Venn diagram, and there is a little bit of an overlap, but not much. It's usually, and there is a big difference in kind of the fan bases for each as well.
Yeah.
That actually makes more sense to me. So I get that. So, and to be honest, Resident Evil has a huge fan base globally. Part of why it's global is because it kind of doesn't. It's simple in a lot of ways so that it translates into many languages, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's very, I mean, I found it like very derivative, but I was happy to do it. I mean, I was really happy to have gotten, popular because of it. But I mean, it's like, there's only so many things you can say about the character. It's like, it's derivative, guys. There's not a lot of back juicy stuff to the character, whereas
Yeah.
Legion is like a little more fascinating in what he's about. Also, the other thing too, as a voice actor, this. I'd rather be in a game that has that's important, where the story is like the important thing, because
Sure.
that will get you also fans. People will want to meet you at conventions and things like that. But I'm out in a game right now. It just came out today, and listen, I love this game, Borderlands 4.
Yeah.
Hysterical. I play a lot of like smaller characters, but I have some of my scenes are hysterical. I play one character that's a suicidal robot. And it's great. Their writing is so good on that. But then I also realized, but people just want to blow things up and steal things. That's what the game is about. So
Pretty
people
much,
aren't
yeah.
going to really be taken with the story that much, So there's so it's interesting. So I keep looking for that next game that will have the really deep story that connects with an audience that I can be a part of and have a good role, a big role. So
You and me both, brother. You and me.
yeah.
So on my podcast, as my viewers will attest, I like to talk about the before. And I did something I normally do not do. I researched you. The reason, because I
Wait a
guess
minute, you don't normally research?
no, I am this thing is unscripted and off the cuff, and I do that purposely or purposefully because I want to give my guests the opportunity. You know, most podcasts or interviews, folks have been researching and studying, and they know this. I kind of like to do it the Jenga way. I like to build, and we build the blocks together and
All right.
build up the conversation. But in this instance, I'm like, okay, because I know folks are going to want to hear about Resident Evil. I am biased to Legion, as you already know. But I read something about you that I thought was very interesting, and that being your upbringing. And if Wiki's wrong, then we'll beat Wiki's
We'll
ass.
find out, man. It's amazing what's on the internet these days.
But true or false? So most of the people I interview, they either come into voiceover. It's a curiosity. Someone has told them, "Hey, you got a great voice," or they go from radio to voiceover. But what I like the most is when folks from the arts in one box go into the other box called voiceover. And what I thought was interesting about your path, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, your grandparents, you kind of get it honest because they were in vaudeville.
Yeah. Well, it's my great grandfather was in it, and actually vaudeville. No, my grandfather. You're right. My grandfather was in vaudeville, and my grandmother did burlesque, and then sometimes they would merge those together for certain shows, and that's how they met. Was
That is
doing
crazy.
that. Yeah, it is crazy. And then she later on went to do a lot of blue films.
Oh boy.
I have one called I think it's called Blue Hawaii. And I mean, it's just like she shows her boobs, but it's like dancing and all that. It's hysterical. It's so cheaply made, like these like 10-minute films, and they shot it in Hawaii, so that was kind of cool. I think she lived there at the time.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and then from there, as she got older and she kind of aged out of that, she went into working on cruise ships. But then she got into the entertainment part of it before they like now it's like super like they have other companies that handle all the entertainment. They've got like real like headliners and all, but they're back in the the 60s and 70s. It's it was a little more lax, especially some of the cruise lines. And so she was like, okay, so I run the wait staff, and then I'm also going to design the entertainment show.
Oh damn.
So she would
okay.
like put together all the acts and stuff for the entertainment stuff on the ships. So yeah, so but that was, but I never came to, I didn't come to LA I didn't even know what voiceover was when I was 19 and I came to Los Angeles, and then when I knew about it, I still tried it. I didn't like focus on it. I tried to avoid it, and just mainly concentrate on the on camera. But it kept falling in my lap, and so eventually I embraced it because I needed some money, and then that started to pay off. As it it comes in waves, kind of thing,
Yeah.
and it kind of kept me in it. But I didn't get my first voiceover agent until 2001 or two, which I know seems like a long time ago, but keep in mind I moved to LA in '85, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, so it was a long time before I got my first voiceover agent. So
That's a hell of a jump, man.
yeah.
So being that you said that, when you came out to LA that wasn't on your radar, were you thinking you were going to just be a prominent on-camera guy?
Prominent. Oh, they're going to be famous. Actually, no. My goal when I came to LA, it's so funny when I think about it now. I don't think I was a very sophisticated 19-year-old. My goal was that I was going to be I was going to do, I was going to get my goal originally was I was going to go to London. I was going to study there. I was going to go to New York. I was going to become fairly big on Broadway. From there, they would bring me to LA, where I would then get a sitcom that would run for 3 years. And from there, I'd graduate into movies. And then that was going to be like my trajectory. And of course, I didn't get into RADA, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. I auditioned for them in New York when I was 17. Didn't get in. Then I looked about moving into New York, but at the time, New York was way more expensive than Los Angeles. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do New York. And then I thought, well, I'll just move to LA. But then I spent a year doing drugs and screwing around. And then finally, I hit rock bottom. I'm like, I guess I should get on with my life. And I got back on my feet, moved to LA. And then from there, the goal was just to be an on-camera actor. I mean, it's like I stripped it all the way down to, if I could just get a TV series that runs for 3 years, then I could have syndication residuals, live off of that for the rest of my life. I was like, I got more and more humble as I went through it. And then, of course, everything kind of changed dramatically. The way the industry is now is so very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how it was. But my first, I should say this. When I first came to LA, I auditioned for 6 different places for acting, teaching, to be taught. I don't know English well. And one of the places, because I found them all through the Yellow Pages. And so they were just listed as like performance arts and stuff. And so I went to this one lady, Barbara Gill, and she was down in Crenshaw. And it was in a dance studio. And then she had a little office. And so back then, when you auditioned for these schools, you'd have to do a contemporary monologue and a classical monologue.
Okay.
And so I brought in my 2 monologues, and my first monologue was Johnny got his gun, it's a 1930s play or whatever. And so I did this like really like bad monologue, I'm sure. And then she goes, thank you, but I'm not an acting teacher for on camera. She goes, I'm a voiceover teacher.
Oh.
And I had no idea what it was. And so she explained what it was, and she said I had a good voice, that I should consider it. And I like, yeah, you just want me to pay you money. And so then but she said that she goes, what you learn with me will help you with your on camera. And then later on, I finally found a school I was going to go to, but it was going to be 6 months before I could begin the year with them. It was a Stella Harmon Actors Workshop, and they were the only one at the time that had financial aid. And so I had 6 months, and she was only like, I think she was $60 a session. So $60 a week, I'd go there and get voiceover lessons. And she was right. I learned a lot of technical things that helped me with word color and whatnot with acting when I went into acting school. But I didn't really, the voiceover stuff was like a little thing here, a little thing there, through the 90s. So nothing really started happening until 2000s.
What was your first on-camera gig?
Well, there's all the horrible student loans, but if we're going to talk about union, the first union gig was a TV show called Coach, which was on ABC, and I played the drama friend of the daughter of the series regular daughter, and this is so embarrassing. So everything I've actually about that's embarrassing. So now I had been in acting school, and we talked about what it is when you get your first, your gig, and what you do when you get to the set. You got to find the AD, and the AD will tell you where your trailer is and the paperwork and all of that. Yeah. So I get to set, and I walk in very timidly, and I see a person with a little headset, and I go over there and I go, "Hi, I'm here for Coach, the show." And she's like, "Oh yeah, just go up and sit over there in the bleachers with all these other people." And I walk up and I go, "God, they got a lot of guest stars for this episode."
She thought you were part of the audience.
No, not as bad as that.
Oh,
Thought I
okay.
was one of the extras. And so I'm
Oh,
sitting with
wow.
all the extras, and then they're handing out, like literally for a half hour, and then they're handing out vouchers, calling people's name out and giving them, and they go, now who doesn't have a voucher? And I'm like, me. And they go, what's your name? I go, DC Douglas. They look and they're like, DC, come with me. They were very kind about it, but it was like, oh, you poor, sad, pathetic thing. But that's not the most embarrassing thing is the role. Okay, so he just has a couple lines. The first thing is when he shows up, he says this line, which is from Streetcar Named Desire. Well, instead of Stella, it's whatever her name was. I forget. Let's say it's Rachel, and he's like, Rachel, like it's supposed to be like that kind of a
Yeah.
joke. And then they hug, and then later on he comes over and he's like, hey, we're about to play the harpsichord. Come and join us. And that was it. It was 2 lines. I had never seen Streetcar Named Desire. I had no idea that was what the joke was about. And
Oh,
somehow I got the gig from that audition. And I went in, and then and the director was Tony Dow from
what
Leaving the
did the
Beaver.
Beaver? Wow.
Yeah, and so we do the scene, and then afterwards he comes up as he's walking to lunch. He turns to me, he's like, "DC, work with her on the opening of that of the scene when you first come in. Okay, just work with her." And I think what he was trying to say is to her, tell him what this is from, so he knows how to do it
Yeah.
right. Anyway, they ended up cutting that.
Ah,
And both my lines, you only see me in the background kneeling by a fireplace. And this is back in the day when, there's, I mean, you can have a VCR and record, but everybody watched things as it aired.
yeah.
So I told everybody I was on the show, all my whole family, all my friends, everybody, because it was my first big gig. And then I come home to my answering machine an hour before it's about to air, and I have messages from from family on the East Coast going, "We looked for you and we couldn't find you." And then the next time zone, the friend there going, "Are you sure you're on this episode? We didn't see you and all that." And then one friend called, and she's with some other people. Obviously, she was probably drunk because she was one of those partiers. And they're all going, "Yay, DC! We saw you by the fireplace."
So
Anyway,
out of
I learned.
everybody, that one person who was inebriated.
Right, like she's like, there he is. I don't know if he's supposed to talk or not, but there he is. But at least I learned a big lesson then. It's like never tell anybody you're in the episode until you know you're in the episode.
That actually happened to me in voiceover.
Oh yeah?
I had auditioned for this ad, and it was going to run during the Super Bowl.
Mm.
And I was so excited, and I went and told everyone. I went on Facebook, hey guys, make sure you're watching halftime, and I'm just like, yeah. And so all of my friends who knew I had got into VO in 2009, so this is now 2015, and I had done minor things here and there. So I'm like, this is going to be the one. I'm excited, and then the spot comes, and did they change my voice? Maybe.
Yeah.
No, that's a white that is a white dude, right? Y'all hear that? So now all of my friends, because I'm at my boy's house, shout out to Kelvin if you're watching, and we're all sitting around, and I'm like, yeah, that's not me. They didn't mention anything about a recast or anything. I got paid for the session.
I mean, that's the thing. You did get paid. And I will tell you this. Those Super Bowl ads usually don't play after that. So it's not like you lost out on a lot of
Yeah,
residuals.
I hadn't seen it after the game. I never saw it again. So I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is. I did a FedEx one for the Super Bowl that was, I thought, was going to be huge. I'm a face mask to an alien, and the alien was done by Ray Harryhausen. No, the guy who did the aliens for the movie Alien, the original one.
oh
They brought the alien back for a FedEx thing.
yeah.
I'm the mask. I'm not even in it. It's a picture of my face, and I thought, well, residuals, baby. And then it played once, and then it went online, and that was it. Never heard from again.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that's weird how they do that. I've had a spot I did for a Swedish company for their product, and when I saw the ad, they pitched my voice way down, and I'm like, isn't my voice low enough? I'm like, you could have directed me to be lower, and I hate that. But the other one is Dragon Age. I was Dragon Age. I did oh boy. So Dragon Age, I did this great character. He's what do they call them? Not an elf, but not a troll, but like one of those like small people who's going around and is like a Danny DeVito type, and
Oh,
he's
yeah, yeah,
stealing
yeah.
all this stuff. And I did that, and I had a great time doing it. And I can't wait for this to come out. And it came out, and I played it, and I'm like, oh, that is not my voice. Then I was called back to be in Dragon Age 2, and I went in there and I saw Ginny. Ginny directed the thing, and I said, "Hey, Ginny, did I do a bad job in that way?" And she's like, "No, they rewrote the dialogue for a lot of it, and they just said who's in the booth, and they just gave it to whoever was in the booth at that
Oh
time."
man,
It's
that's
just one of those things. And then we went to do this DLC for Dragon Age 2, did this whole thing, um, and uh, and then it came out, and I was about to tell everybody. This time I knew. I waited, and then I
mm-hmm.
went and I looked, and I'm like, old other voice, like I got replaced again. And then I saw her on another project, and I go, "So Dragon Age, like, did that not like me?" And she's like, "No, they decided they wanted only real British actors doing all of those roles, and so that got switched." And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Man, talk about a double dose of
Yeah, well, it's just like that game. Me in that game that I was cursed. So yeah.
that's insane. So when you right, so at that time you're doing on screen, um and you're getting coached voiceover. Did you ever think that, you know, me a voice actor? Yes, and people tell us we sound good and we should pursue it, but
Mhm.
I think there's only two people that I've talked to that actually said, "No, I wanted to do this." Did you have any
Find it
reluctance?
weird when I meet you people that say that. That
I'm not one of those
you're not
people.
one of them. Okay. Well,
Um, so for me, and I'll just preface like this: I didn't know what voiceover was. Growing up, I called anyone's voice I heard on TV an announcer. So I was like, I want to be an announcer one day. Yes. Having watched, my uncle was a news director at a TV station. So to see him in there and then have the guy come on, this is Action News 6. I'm like,
right.
who's that dude? I want to do
That's
that.
cool. Yeah.
But I'm sounding like this at the time, and my voice is cracking. I'm like, yeah, I can't do what he does. And then one day I woke up and I sounded like this, and like maybe I have a shot. Um, did you ever think that, voiceover is one of those things? Because I've heard from folks that was like, yeah, voiceover was always the job that you did when you were in between other jobs.
What changed it, I think, is that people, if they said they wanted to do voiceover, they mainly meant that they wanted to do cartoons.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing with the advent of anime becoming popular. And then it was everybody goes, I want to do anime, which is funny. It's like, so you want the least paying job there is in the business.
Right.
But then I think since then, like, it's only recently in the last 10 years, I think that people like understand the different kinds of voiceover and they just want to get into that whole field.
Sure.
But yeah, before then it was different. For me, it was, I got little gigs in between and it was help pay the my bills and things. But I never, like, I'm not pursuing voiceover. I'm on camera and I'm an on-camera actor who does these things every now and then. And I felt that way all the way until I was in the middle of doing a cartoon, Transformers Rescue Bots.
Oh, yeah.
I did that. We did 4 years of that, and it wasn't until like the second year, and I think Jason Marsden corrected me because I think I made some comment. I can't remember what the comment was, but he basically said you need to respect what you've got and what's going on. That you, first off, it's all acting. And you're still an actor right now. And I'm like, oh no, I know that's true about, and then and he's like, no, dude, it's like, it's all one thing. And once I saw it as that way, I embraced it more. And then I started pursuing much more. And then it's kind of funny is the cross happened about 7 years ago. I got tired of, because I only got so far with on camera. And it's like, it's really hard to there's not as many on-camera jobs as there are voiceover jobs.
Mhm.
Which of course AI may change that, but that's, as of right now, that's the case.
Yeah.
And with the on-camera, it's all on your look. So when I had the clean cut look, I was getting the asshole lawyer and dweeby executive, Disney dad, that kind of thing. But most of the Disney dads that I tried to get, I was losing out to guys that were overweight. And I'm like, well, it was like in my 40s then. I'm like, I'm fighting everything to not get overweight. I don't want to get overweight just to get work and then die 10 years earlier. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So so then I grew the goatee and I kept the goatee and I said, now I'm more of an edge. I'm trying to get like some more like assholey baddies or whatever. There were few and far in between. And then at one point, I think I changed my life dramatically, left a long-term relationship, sold my house, all of that. And I got rid of the agent that I had. I went to this other agent and I said, the best times I have as an on-camera actor are when I book these either these ultra low budget or modified low budget films that are in Atlanta or Houston or
Yeah.
whatever, and I play these really quirky characters, and I go and I know I may only get $250 a day or whatever, but like I enjoy that more than going and getting $1,000 or which used to be two, now it's 1,000, going in and being the Disney dad. And she's like, okay. She goes, well, have you thought about growing out your hair because it's very actory? And I'm like, have I thought about growing? I go, I've always wanted long hair ever since I was a kid. And then I'm like, fucking A, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can
No,
swear.
you're good. You're
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, fucking A, I'm going to grow my hair long. So and I said, I'm going to grow it longer than you expect, lady. And so I grew it to this length. And I said, this is the look. And there are certain things that I can work for. There's certain things that people will go, oh, wait, we could do it that way, kind of thing. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff I'll never be able to do again, which is fine. I'll never be the lawyer. I'll never be the politician. I won't be any of that stuff. But like the stuff that I go out for, I really enjoy. And a lot of times and also the change of mental attitude when I said, now my focus is my bread and butter is voiceover and I respect it. So I pursue that. And that's the thing that I try to keep alive. With my on camera, I give it a shot here or there. You're really powerless with an on camera career. And so, I get auditions and able to do stuff here and there and whatnot, but I don't freak out or think of my self-worth as anything less when I'm not getting auditions. Like I can go 3 months without an on-camera audition and not care because I'm living my life as me, as opposed to the kid who thought I'm going to be the next, well, for me, it was Gary Oldman, but let's say, Dustin Hoffman or whatever, that I've got to have one look that can be changed at any moment to be anything. And it's like, no, that Hollywood doesn't care about you. You have to become him before you can get the roles where you change your look and all that. So, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a product, this is now the product. And this is me, which makes it so much easier to go day by day. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. I have a friend who does voiceover, but he does a lot of on camera as well. And, that's one of the things that he mentions where, and I've talked to him and he's like, I said, yeah, so what's your book today, man? He's like, nothing, just a lot of he's in his garage with his blue screen or green screen. He's in there auditioning, waiting for, the next thing to come. But with voiceover, he's like, yeah, I did like 2 audiobooks today. Like pow,
Yeah,
pow.
I'm like working.
Yeah. So it's definitely one of those dynamics where you saw yourself in one area,
Yeah.
but then voiceover came along and was like, hey, maybe you're needed more over here.
That is the thing though, that you like it, how they always say, I won't get into like too frou with you, but the idea that you put out into the universe what it is that you'd like,
Yeah.
right? But and I think they've now augmented it. People who talk about this, you've got to be specific. So I put stuff out in the I have and I as a I turned 60 next year, and I can say without a doubt that when I've really put it out there, it comes to me, but not always as I expect it because I wasn't specific. And then you deal with whatever that is once it comes. So, but it does work. But what's funny is though I did put out there a long time ago that my idea was that I was going to become, there was the TV series, and then I was going to become the movie star, and then I was going to be able to travel around, and this is how I'd see the world. This was also my justification to not go to college. Then I'll be able to see the world, and I'll meet all these people and do all these fascinating things. And I go, and that's how I'll learn about the world. And of course, that didn't happen, but I became popular in video games and anime. And then all of a sudden I'm going to these things that are now burgeoning, these conventions. And now I'm traveling to Dubai and to London and to Canada and Australia and all around the United States. And I'm like, it came true. Just
it
not
happened,
like
but
I
not the way
thought
you
it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
My wife has a saying, and we were talking about, I was just having a real heart-to-heart talk, and and I was kind of feeling down about myself for whatever reason. And I was like, do you like ever regret like being with me? And she was like, absolutely
Oh.
not. So, but her response was, you know, she said, I prayed for a man that was stable, that would love me and my daughter. She said and this was what she said that was profound. She's like, sometimes what we pray for is not going to be in the package that we're expecting. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, huh. I said, so now me being playful, I said, well, what kind of package were you expecting me to be in? But I knew what she was saying because, having been previously married, her, not me, this is number one and hopefully one and done. The previous marriage did not give her what she thought it was going to be because there was a certain uh I don't want to say expectation, but usually when folks get married, they do have a set of expectations that we want to last forever. We're gonna, raise our kid and do this, and then get to that retirement age and empty nesters and run around butt naked and all that type stuff. That didn't happen. With she and I, we actually had a relationship 15 years prior. And we kind of, well, not kind of, we reconnected and then got back together. And it was kind of like, look, I let you get away from me 10 or so years ago, and I'm not letting that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got married and just celebrated 8 years this past June.
Nice.
So, it was one of those stories that it worked out. But I definitely can understand where, because when I got into voiceover and finally knew what it was, I was like, oh, hello, kitty.
Yeah. It's like I'll go to get him and he'll run away. So he wants to play.
Yeah, I have to lock mine out because the last interview I did a few days ago, he just promptly jumped on the desk and all he sees a tail. I'm like, yeah, so
That's nice.
Smokey wants to be a part of the interview. But I wanted to get into, once I figured out what it was, I'm like, oh, so video games, animation, got it. But how I got into the business was narration and promo, um, which is 80, 90% of my work is narration and promo.
Well, I envy you on the promo stuff. I'd love a lot more promo work.
Man, but getting into it in 09, I'm like, yeah, I want to be the voice of this character. I'm going to be a baddie in this movie. And I didn't get my first video game role until 10 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So it happens. It just didn't happen the way that it happened and when I wanted it to happen. So I feel you on that 100%.
But it's also funny because sometimes promo work is like, I'd rather go, when someone asked me like my ideal voiceover job thing, I'd say, I'd like to be Superman and blah, 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 or the Marvel universe or whatever. I know it's different universe, I know. But like they expect to say that. And I'm like, no, my ideal voiceover job is a legal tag on a radio campaign that goes on for years. You go and you record it once and it just gets renewed and renewed and renewed and renewed. So, or to have be the demonic tagline for an insurance company for the TV commercials, because I did that and that bought me a house. So
wow,
those insurance companies are insane.
So is Big Pharma. I had my first Big Pharma commercial aired Thanksgiving of 2021. The contract just ended July of this year.
Oh wow!
And it was all just union gig and residuals aplenty. I'm like, oh, another one. Okay, you said you want to buy what now?
Yeah,
you can go get that now. It's in the bag. What would you say now, having done this 20 or so years? You've done anime, you've done video games, you played some iconic characters, and one that I think is very underappreciated. I found out about this show watching Netflix and Super Crooks.
Oh yeah, the Praetorian. Yeah, that was fun.
That's a bad dude, man. So
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. It's like The Boys before The Boys.
I was about to you read my mind. I said my question is still in my thunder, man.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So my question is, especially for characters like that, and if folks think about, you know, Wesker and Legion, and then you come to now this like dude that just he is badassery personified. What goes in here and in here to bring those characters to life? You know, everyone has a different method or technique. What would you say is like the thing? You know, you get the sides and maybe it doesn't have a picture, so you're going, okay, he's this, and this.
Well, the thing is that the a lot of the JRPGs, like the things that have made me popular. So Resident Evil, I had to impersonate another actor for the first game, and the second game they wanted me to impersonate a different actor who had done the role, and then I had to blend them together. So I didn't really get to put my mark on that. Albert Wesker, but that's me doing Peter Jessup and Richard Waugh.
Okay.
Then Legion was just my own voice, so that was a treat that it got to be just me. But of course, it's filtered to the nth degree. Sure. And then after the next villain I get is anime, so I'm listening to the Japanese version and doing my interpretation of that, as well as the text and whatnot. So there's not a lot of like, well, if I were this character, I would blah. It's like I have to give a good heavy nod in the acting to the original Japanese person, so that people that switch back and forth don't get like they don't want to be jarred, which is also how they get directed too. They're very specific about that stuff. So the only one where I got, I think, a lot of leeway. So like that one, I'm basically being as it's my voice, a little low, a little bit of texture, and it's basically like the way the Japanese guy did it.
Okay.
And the only time that was different was, I was done at the same studio too. I just realized VSI. What's the name? Hang on. Shaman King 2021.
Okay.
Which is also on Netflix. They did it for Netflix. So Sean Schemmel did that role first back in the early aughts.
Okay.
And he did it like this Spanish thing. And I'm like, and I don't have a good Spanish accent, number one. Number two, when they called, it was around the time when it was still kind of weird for people to be doing other ethnicities kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know we're a little different from that now. Like when Tekken 8 called and they said, you want to come back? And I'm like, I need the money. I'm going to do a black voice. I don't care. Because I mean, they hired me that way, 10 years earlier. And it's like, well, I'm just going to, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it better than I did last time, I hope. But the point being is I said, I can't do that. And I go, but can I do whatever I want? And I was an offer to it, and even audition. I said, can I do my own thing with it? And they said, sure. And I looked, that's the only time where I really got to look at a picture and go, Elvis Presley. So Shaman King is talking like this. He's like, oh, I want to take you to my happy place. That was a super fun one to do. Also, they had a lot of fun with the comedy and that and stuff. So, but for the most part, I'm kind of locked in when it comes to what they want from the voice kind of thing. Yeah.
So what is it like? And again, I'm going back to what your original trajectory was versus your trajectory now, because you're like, yeah, I want to get famous and travel the world and do all this. You're doing it now, but not for this, but for this. Talk about how, even though the trip was different, the destination is the same. And how does it feel to be such to have fans and be beloved for the stuff that you do?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. First off, I never wanted to be famous. I should make that clear. I mean, but it comes with it, the territory.
Yeah.
I thought if I was doing movies and I was known as a good actor, but it was not about, but I want people to know me wherever I go. That was the last thing on my mind. And so that's partly why I'm grateful about voiceover. But also it's all presentation. Okay, I'll do this one story. So this before I left survival work, which was around 2002, I always had some job while I was doing acting.
Yeah.
So and I started in the restaurants, and then I ended up being a personal assistant to a rich guy, which led me to starting a company for him where I edited demo reels on the first nonlinear system.
Oh wow.
Which is called a media composer then, which you now know as Avid.
Mm-hmm.
And So I did that, and we were doing all the actors in town. We became the place to go to because I was fast and I was good.
There you go.
And I got so depressed after each famous actor who came through there because I'm like, I don't have their career. Um, but the at one point, some people came to me, and I won't say this. He's passed away. I don't want to say it. Anyway, a very famous actor from the 70s, literally won an Academy Award, all of that. His friends came to me and they wanted to put together a special reel to help him get more work because he
Sure.
hadn't worked in a long time. And then through the conversation, I realized they didn't have money to pay for the session and he didn't have money to pay for the session. And they were
Mm,
angling on me doing it for free for the prestige of doing his
sure.
reel. He was living in the guest room of a friend's house in Malibu.
Oh,
Like
wow.
and at that point he was probably late 60s, early 70s. And that was a big eye opener. I'm like, but he has an Academy Award. He's
Right.
and he was just in a movie like 5 years ago. And then I think about that's when I started really thinking about it. I'm like, so think about this. So you're not like one of the main stars that gets millions of dollars.
Hmm.
There's that weird stratosphere group, and then there's the group underneath. So what? He got paid $100,000, let's say, for this film that he was famous for. Not famous. It was a famous movie in the late '90s. He got paid $100,000,
Okay.
and then it doesn't work again for years.
Wow.
How long is that $100,000 last you? Right?
Yeah.
You split into two. That's $50K per year. And I don't know if you've lived in LA, but you can barely live in LA for $50K a year. And so after that, you're kind of broke, and like maybe you get some residuals, but that it's still not enough to like get a leg up. And
Yeah.
that's when it really opened my eyes. And that's anyway. So what was your ask? So my point being presentation and perception.
Hmm.
So if I'm posting all the time about a gig I got here and there on Instagram, the perception is I'm a working actor and I must be making a lot of money and life is great. It might be for some people, and for me, life is great because I've got a great attitude. But
Yeah.
I struggle with bills. I'm not great with money, and I get in the stock market and I hurt myself. There's all sorts of things that can go on, and it could be that I'm working, but like, how much did I get paid for that gig?
Right.
You
Right.
play the game for 80 hours, but I worked on it for 3. And I got paid for 3 hours, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it's so I take it. It does not go to my head whatsoever that there's any kind of popularity with me. And in fact, I used to try to foster it because I thought the more famous I get, the more work I'll get, and the more conventions and this and that.
Sure.
But the more you try to do that, it takes the whole like joy out of out of the career, because now all of a sudden my career is social media management for myself, and
Hmm.
that's icky. I mean, I still have to do it, but I do it like on a nominal level now. And as far as fans, it's like with anything. It's like you go to any workplace and you work with 20 people and it's like there are 15 fantastic people and there are 5 assholes there.
Mm.
And so with the fandom, and no offense, but like there's a lot of wonderful fans. There's people I have known for 20 years, almost 20 now. Yeah. That are like, that's just amazing. And then there are other people, especially because of the way that fandom works. There are people that are fans of stuff, and there are people that are fanatics of stuff.
Fanatics. Yeah.
And those people, there's usually some sort of imbalance going on. And they find refuge perhaps through the medium or whatever, and that's great. Or they're so hyper focused on it so that all of a sudden you are everything to that person. And
Hmm.
if you like you sign your name wrong, you do something, you say something wrong, or all of a sudden you have a different political opinion, and then they explode on you, and now you were the worst person ever, kind of thing. That comes, all of that stuff is mixed in there. So it used to be like going, I love my fans are amazing, all of that. And I'm like, no, they're all just people, and I'm grateful for the people that support my work and all of that. But like, I'm no role model. Live your life. I'll live my life, but don't don't be an asshole to me, because sometimes there are people that are assholes. But and I'm trying to. I realize I say this, and all of a sudden I feel bad because somebody's going to play this back later, and they go, "Look, he doesn't like his fans." It's like, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say that I see my fans as humans, not as one big block of just people that go, "We love DC Douglas," because that's not. That's just not reality. So
Yeah. And that makes sense. I I do not have fans. Well,
I bet you do, Trey. Well, you have one now.
Oh man, that's what's up. Well, I take that back. Maybe not on the magnitude that you do, but there is a small contingent of middle schoolers who are probably now high schoolers. So I say that because my first video game was for Madden, a football game.
Oh, cool. Very
And
cool.
yeah, so I had a good 5 year run with them. And so in the game, I kind of play this. They had some DLC content in the game, and it's called Superstar KO, or was called Superstar KO. So the premise was, think of a fantasy football team you could put together and play in the game.
Mm.
I was the announcer for that, but I wasn't the typical, he's at the 5-10 touchdown. I was a DJ playing music and giving commentary while these guys are playing
Oh,
football.
that's cool. Yeah.
So
So
my
to get
characters,
more laughs and more personality connection.
yeah. So I'm like, oh man, you let him sack you. Oh, you got to get up and do it again. Third and
Nice.
5. Let's see what happens. He's going deep. Oh,
Nice.
you were this close. And the kids loved it. And so what ended up happening was, I guess some kid like I did, they went and found the credits. And he sent me a DM on IG. He's like, hey, are you really the guy who does are you DJ Tremo? I said, well, my name's Tre Mosley. But yeah, they could just give that to anybody. So I'm like, I'll show you. So I hit the audio message on his thing. It's like, hey, what's up, man? This is DJ Tremo. And all of a sudden, ping, ping, friend request. I guess he went in and told all of his friends. And like, we love you, man. And will you play with us? I'm like, okay.
See, that becomes the weird part, because just so you know, it can get weird, because it got weird for me.
Yeah. So I got on Xbox with them, and this was around Christmas. And we're playing, and they were, because some kids get on these games and potty mouth. I'm like, how old are you? But
Right.
they were very respectful, very cool. And what kind of made me chuckle is the innocence of kids, and you'll know what I mean in a minute. So we're playing, and his parents are calling him, hey, we're getting ready to go to Christmas dinner, you need to come on, I'm not hungry, and I'm playing with Tremo on the game. They're like, yeah, they're thinking the character in the game, not that it's actually me. And so the mom, now I can hear her coming up the stairs, put that game down and come on. Well, he's on the game right now. Sure he is. And so I'm like, hey, ma'am, happy holidays. She's like, is that really the guy? So now she's sitting there watching us play. And so someone else is like, hey, you guys coming down? Yeah, he's talking to the guy in the game. Well, so they leave. And he's like, yeah, we're getting ready to go to dinner, some place, Outback Steakhouse. I don't even like steak. I'm like, kid, it's not a bad place. You might want to go in. But they didn't understand. I love steak. So I understood, like, you're gonna get a good T-bone or nice ribeye
Right.
bone in. You need to go and enjoy that. But he didn't get it. But it was just so weird to have that interaction with the kids. And then when Starfield came out and I did a character in there, even though that character had just a couple of lines, they brought me back to do I got my first baddie role, and that was awesome. And then people started finding out that I was that guy as well. It was like, hey, you did like, yeah, my man, I hate that guy, but he's so good. I'm like, well, thank you.
That's good. That's a high compliment when it's that horrible character and they go, but I loved him. So yeah.
And that's what I was going to ask. Like, what is it like to have those characters that are either going to piss people off, but not be pissed off at you, but because the character is so believable that,
Well, I don't know if they're believable.
well,
I think that
believable in a
there's
sense to where, again, like when something happens to the character and they feel it, it's not like, well, damn it, DC, you made this thing and I'm mad at you. They're not really mad at you, but they're mad at the character. Like, so, talk about that.
well, it's interesting actually. This connects to what we were just talking about fandom and all that, and
Yeah.
that it's. I think it's always important to remember that while they may like you as a person because they've seen you in interviews or something like that, but they are fans of the character or
Right.
characters. And as long as, I don't fuck it up publicly by being, saying something horrific or whatever, then they go, oh, well, then I'll like him. But they mix the two. They do mix the two, but it's the entree is the character, and that's truly where the love is.
Hmm.
And then I'm just the beneficiary of that attention, which is great. And then to the other point, you just asked him. What was the other part? It was like, how do they feel when I?
Yeah, like how do they? So when someone, damn, now I forgot the question too. We're
I think
both
it was
getting
something
old.
about them. Well, I will say this.
Yeah.
So the because they don't take what the character does that seriously. Obviously they can't, because I did a game called Persona 5, and I'm not a large character in there. I'm one of the many bosses you have to get through. I think I'm the
Yeah.
first boss you meet, and the character is a pedophile.
Oh wow.
He's a soccer teacher pedophile. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Game's been out for a long time. So, but like literally that weekend, when I used to be on Twitter, I'm not anymore because that place is disgusting.
You and me both.
But when I was there, I got all these people that first weekend going, Kamashita's amazing. You were great. I love Kamashita. I'm like, wait, you love Kamashita? He's got like a like a girls' soccer team locked up in the castle, and you like, exactly. And you like him? It's like, so it's obviously they don't take it too hard to heart what the actions are of those characters. So, unless they're really, out there. Yeah, they don't. I think they just enjoy the way that it's written and the journey they're taken on and all of that. And again, extension of the character. By them talking to me, it's like, I'm talking to Kamishita, though you're technically not. So that's the beauty of Cameo. It's like, okay, if we're going to do this game, you're going to pay me.
Okay, for real. I hear that. What would you say to a kid or whomever, age notwithstanding, and they love your work and what you do, and because of what you do, they too feel the inspiration to want to try to pursue this? You and I know tis not easy. What would you say to that person that is looking to embark in the waters that we
My
swim?
speech is different now than it was, 5-10 years ago. Even 5 years ago. The speech would normally be that there are many ways to pursue that dream, and you have to come to terms with how big you want to go with it.
Yeah.
So you could literally set up a Voice 123 account and stay at home and pad your closet and do voiceover from there and audition to all those things and see what you get. There's that. Or you can get real serious about it. And if you're going to get serious about it, then that means that you need to take acting classes. You need to at least do that for 6 months to understand how to break down a scene and character development, all of that. Then you're going to want to take singing classes so that you have more control over the voice. You're going to want to take an improv class so that you can find more, tap into your creativity better and build character better. Then take a voiceover class and learn the technical stuff that goes with all of that. And if you can't take a class, there's plenty of YouTube stuff you can find now.
Oh, yeah.
Do all that. At that point, then that's when you need to make a determination. It's like, so first off, you're never going to go, I'm just going to do anime and that's it. You could say that, but you're never going to make a living off of it then. You have to be able to do a broad scope of things, from commercials to narrations to books. I don't do books, so that's one way. I draw my line there. But promos, all of that stuff, and those all require specialized approach for your talent. So it's an ongoing learning process. And then from there, you got to go, and now am I going to try to do this remotely, which will limit your work? Or am I going to go to one of the hubs, especially if you want to do video games where you're doing a mocap? Then you have to decide, am I going to go to Los Angeles, or am I going to go to Atlanta? Am I going to go to New York? And those are really like the three main places you can go. Or you can try San Francisco and then fly down to LA whenever you have to.
Yeah.
But that's it. But otherwise, if you want to do it from, Jacksonville, Florida, it's going to be a little more difficult, and really difficult if you're in, like bumfuck whatever. So that's kind of generally the speech I would give. Now I go, we don't know what's going to happen with the industry. We know that like there's this, like so many things. Like there used to be, you probably remember this. It was Voice Bank.
Oh yeah.
So with the advent of the internet, it's really funny. This is kind of, I'll have to make this real quick, but I find this concept fascinating. The way things change and develop and all of that. With voiceover, in the 70s and 80s, it was like you basically 80 guys and or 75 guys and 5 women that had all the voiceover work
Sure.
and locked in, and that was it. And the way that it worked is that you had the agencies had special relationships with the advertising agencies, and so it was really, so if you were not with that agent, you weren't going to get anything from that advertising agency, and it was very difficult to get the work. And then breakdown services started to do commercial stuff, and then that kind of opened up a little bit. And then with the advent of the internet, then Voice Bank comes along, and now all of a sudden, all the agencies are in this one website place. All the advertising agencies can throw their ads there and say, "Everybody audition." You know, you still had your personal relationships, but then you had this kind of democratization that happened, sort of. If you were with an agent that started with an A, you were going to get more opportunities than an agent that started with a W. Because that's just how it went.
Yeah.
And but there was that all the way until, I don't know, it was about 10, 15 years ago, where not voices.com from Canada bought it, and then they perverted it, and then they said, they jacked up the rates, and they said, we're going to do this, but you're going to have to pay $5,000 a month for it or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then all the agents kind of scattered away trying to figure out, and everyone had to get on the phones and start developing relationships again with advertising agencies like it was in the 80s and 70s. But meanwhile, because of the internet and because of Voice Bank, it had broadened out, and people had home studios in Atlanta and all these other places. And now everybody was auditioning from around the United States. So instead of 100 people having all the work, you have, maybe a couple thousand people that are all sharing the work. And granted, the work had gotten bigger too, a lot more work. But now Voice Bank goes away. So now it really becomes, who you're with, where you can have the bigger opportunities. And if you're not with the right person, then you're not getting those. You're getting smaller opportunities. Became a little bit harder. Then we had some strikes, which made things harder for people that were just doing union work and all that. Then we have AI. And now all of a sudden, so like I said, there's many different slides. I hope this is interesting to whoever's watching.
No, you're good. This is good.
So we have many different slices of what goes on with voiceover. So you have, so on one end, you've got like anime dubbing, and you've got live action dubbing. So for all the movies and TV shows, you want them in different languages. You got people, you'd hire, people that spoke those languages to come in and do the dubbing.
Yep.
AI shows up. There is a plugin now that they can use that changes the lips of the actor and the jaw movement to match whatever the language is. And it uses that actor's voice to do that language.
Yeah.
They don't need human beings anymore. Now they're still doing it. Not everybody's switched over to it, but they're all going to switch over to it. It's as I described to somebody, it's like, you're a lamplighter and electricity came to town. And it's like, we're not going to save your lamplighter jobs. It's just, there's no reason to. And as a viewer, and I've done a lot of live action dubbing.
Me too.
So as a viewer though, what do you prefer? You want to see a dubbed thing, or you want to see it as though it's that actual actor speaking that language? So that part I kind of get. So that work now goes away. Then you've got like the low budget, especially in the non-union world. You got these like, the mom and pop hardware store. It's like, well, if I can just go onto this, bibbity bobbity voice website and get it to say my copy for 30 seconds, which is not, it's easy to do now. It's not great. It's not horrible. They'll do that. Or I want to do my YouTube documentary, but I only have, normally I pay that narrator guy maybe, $500 or $1,000 to do it. It's like now I can pay $30 and I can get somebody who sounds like, I was gonna say James Dean, but no, Darth Vader, James Earl Jones. I can get James Earl Jones to narrate it or sounding like him, who so anyway, I'll finish this point and then I'll make a point of it. So that stuff starts to go away. And I think what it becomes is now the work is going to get much more narrow and specialized. And if you can't persevere through this storm, then you will fall off. And I think that's what's going to happen is a lot of voice actors, people that wanted to do it, but were never fully serious about it, or only were not, their attention was divided. They're all going to fall away. And a lot of it may come back to local stuff. I mean, there's going to be a wave where it goes so completely towards AI, and then there's going to be a backlash to it. And they go, we want some more human connection, and it'll come back a little bit. But there's some stuff that's just never going to, there's some stuff that'll never come back. I don't think dubbing will ever come back to human voices. Live action. Anime dubbing, I think they're going to keep human voices because it's more interesting and idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
Same with cartoons. That'll be that. Commercials, when all your celebrities then get their voices digitized in library and AIified, and then they can sell their voice for a royalty, for a job, for a campaign. They say 150 grand, and we're going to use your voice, and it's going to be you, but you never come into the studio. You know what I mean? It's just negotiated and done, and your voice, your AI voice, is doing that campaign. There's a lot of celebrities that are going to do that. So then all of a sudden, you're like a mid-level company where you would normally hire like guys like you and me, but instead they're going to go, wait, I can get, well, not James Earl Jones, but
Yeah.
like, somebody like that,
Sure.
I can get that for a little bit above our budget. Like, frick yeah, they're going to do that. So that's going to make the commercial world narrow down a lot. Books on tape, I think a lot of that's going to go to AI.
It's
Like,
starting to happen already, and I know
yeah.
a lot of my audiobook narrators are hating it, but
Yeah, I
the
don't blame them.
the advantage that they're having uh, in competing with the AI, and they were saying that they've listened to some of the books, even though it may sound like whomever,
It's not
like
fully there.
they were like it's so emotional, like emotionless. There's no emotion.
Or
Uh,
I think they call it what do they call it? Valley the Valley shit. Oh, what's the phrase? Um uh, Not awkward valley, but what's the phrase? I have to go to ChatGPT and ask. Uncanny valley.
okay,
It's the uncanny valley. And so with video stuff, you can always go, oh, that's uncanny valley. It's like a robot, but it's also human, but it's not, you can tell that it's not human. And with the voiceover on the audiobooks, you can tell when it goes on long enough, you're like going, that seems like an emotionless or a non-creative way to approach that sentence. And I mean even like subtle stuff, you're like going, the guy is like, dude, like loosen up a little bit on your narration or be a little more emotionally invested, and it's like, oh, it's AI, it can't do that. So
what I've usually found, I was watching a YouTube narration and I was really into it. I am a sci-fi buff. I love things about, the 80s and 90s. And so I'm sitting here like, this is good. This is good. And then he came across a word because they had titles at the bottom, and the person's name was Sinjin, but it's spelled Saint John.
oh
And he was like, so and so and so, ST John. I'm like, they didn't know that the abbreviation for Saint was ST.
yeah,
And that's when it hit me. This is not real. And I immediately got turned off by it. And like,
it's upsetting once you realize,
yeah,
because
I was like,
that's that human connection thing. It's like, if you're going to tell me a story or you're going to take me through something, I want to know that it's a human being who's taking me through it, somebody else. But when it's AI, then it's like, oh, I'm alone on this journey. It's not as interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. It was one I saw, I think they're talking about like ICE or whatever, and would like ICE detention centers, and we go
Yeah.
the ICE detention center. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've
oh,
I've seen one of those
weird.
too. When they spelled it out. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
it's always something like that. That's the telltale. When they can't read abbreviations, they don't know how to properly say slang.
Mhm.
And some other things. I'm like, oh, this is
You know who I feel bad for? Or maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But maybe he didn't fully know what he was getting into. But the guy who sold his voice to AI early on, and I don't know, it was probably some Chinese company or Asian company, because they're doing a lot of this stuff right now, and they're paying very little. They
yep.
pay, so he might have gotten paid maybe $3,000 or $5,000 for his voice, and it's everywhere now. You know what I'm talking about?
I
It's the
do.
guy. He sounds like it's like a Morgan Freeman voice,
Yep.
but it's a little higher. I wanted to get Viagra for 100
Mhm.
milligrams. Like, and now they make it kind of like a thing now, where it's almost
I've actually
memeable.
heard one on a TV spot. I'm
Yeah, 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 exactly.
like,
But then you go, oh, and they do it because it's prevalent all over TikTok, and they're trying to
mhm.
reach out to people that would go, oh, I know the voice. But it's not even his voice, it's in a computer. And it's sad. So it's and that, because that guy is kicking himself now, going, unless he's like somewhere online going, I'm that voice. If you want the real one, I'm right here. And they're like, why would we want the real one?
Yeah,
They
it's
can just
it's
buy you over
it's too
here.
late now. I mean, we saw this early um, with um, with Susan Bennett in Siri. You know,
Oh, right.
s-
Well, I will say this. Kitty. I will say this. Okay, I can say it now because it's many years. I was up for Siri for when they were doing like their second version of it or whatever, or second or third version, and I auditioned for it, and then I got a callback, and then I got a second callback, which was a paid callback, $500.
Hey.
But they flew me to San Francisco the night before, put me up in a hotel, and then the next day I had to go in. It was me and three other guys, and then I hit it, and I blew it because we had to do Spanish names, and I was like, I'm not very good at the Spanish. And he's like, don't worry, we'll give you the pronunciation as we go. And also their type was really tiny, not tiny. I'm sorry, they had it in Courier, and I can read better in Helvetica. And then and I said it's too bad it's not in Helvetica because I find Courier hard to read. And she's like, that's strange because all studies say that it's easier to read, Courier or whatever. I'm like, wow, all right, lady.
Damn.
But anyway, obviously I didn't get the gig, but the pay that was going to, yeah, I can say this now. The pay then was you were paid $600 a day for the session, and you'd have to relocate to San Francisco for 3 months, and you'd be paid $600 a day for the session. You'd probably have 4 or 5 sessions a week, and then it would go on for 3 months, and then afterwards, if they use your voice, if it makes it onto the phone, then it was $250,000 a year, but bumped up each year based off of the cost of living.
Gee.
Exactly, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't look at that as the same as AI. Like a lot of these offers now, where you go in for 30,000, or I did one. I sold my voice for $30,000 for a product that I knew when I heard about. First off, they can't use my voice in anything else. It can only be used on that product.
Yeah.
But once I knew what the product was, I'm like, oh yeah, this product will not be around in a year or two. I swear to God, it's got to be. What is that thing when you start a company, when you know you're going to lose the money, but you need to do it to offset something or else, like a write-off or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
This was an Asian company, a Chinese company, but it made no sense. And they were going to set their offices in. Okay, so the device is, I don't even know what it was. Oh, do I get in trouble? And I can't get in trouble. That was over a year ago. It's not out. Okay, it's called Jarvis.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that lawsuit.
Right.
And it's a piece of hardware you stick on your phone that then it is agentic and runs your apps and will book your Uber and tell you, what time, like a Siri. You look into your phone,
or like a Jarvis from Iron Man, who, yeah,
right. The whole thing is like, it's just like, I'm like, yeah, this will not go on for. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do this one. Anyway,
that's a nice pickup, though. That was a nice pickup.
It was, and then I blew it. I put most of it in the stock market, and I lost it within 3 months. Yeah, because I've got a problem. I'm working on it. Don't feel bad for me.
We all have our vices. Me, it's toys.
Yeah. Well, my vice is that I like to trade options, which is when you put a time limit on your money, you're always going to screw yourself over.
Yeah. So. That's hey man. Just settle down. Instead of putting 30, put 2 in instead of 30. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So we have now gotten to the part of the show that I like to ask questions that again, your typical interviewer does not ask.
Okay.
Number 1, your first gig or gigs that you were making some pretty decent coin. You were like, I think I kind of like this VO thing. Was there something, was there a big purchase that you bought? And if so, what was it?
It's kind of funny because my introduction to making good money with acting was with a TV show. I was recurring
even
in the
better
90s on Boston Common. And not Boston. There's the other one, the other Boston.
Boston Legal.
Yeah, there was also another Boston too beyond that one. Anyway, but it was on Thursday nights. It was must see TV. You had Seinfeld, you had The Single Guy, and then you had Boston Common.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it started out as like a one line on the pilot, and there's a whole story. You can see it. Go to my website. You can look up Boston Common and read the story.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing 10 episodes, and I made about 60 grand that year.
Bad.
It was crazy for me, money. And then I thought, but then, so what did I do with the money? I went on a huge vacation. I ate out a lot more. I went to strip clubs. I was at that age where it was like, because I'm not the kind of guy who can go to a bar and like be flirty and hit people. I was always horrible at that, hit on people. I could never do that. So I'm like, well, I'll go to a strip club and I'll get the little loving I need. And I'd fall in love with a stripper, and that's why I went through a lot of that money as well. The stories I tell.
Hey.
But I thought, you know what? They're going to rerun them in the summer, and I'm gonna get that first round of reruns is the same fee again, so that's another 60 grand, baby. Then they canceled the show and they did not rerun it in the summer. So that was my first lesson. The next time that I won, it is like winning. The next time I made really good money was a Geico campaign in 2003, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those things where I didn't know how huge that was. Again, an insurance company. I had no idea how huge and how much they would play it. And I mean, I did like the first campaign, I did like 5 spots, and then they like the checks would I'd get a manila envelope from my agent, and I'd open it up, and it was just stacks of checks, all Geico. And one time it was 10 grand that showed up, and I'm like, and the first thought, this is really interesting. The first thought was, I don't deserve this. It's like, I don't deserve this money, which is, that goes back to like growing up in, poor kind of thing, all of that stuff, poverty mentality.
Yeah.
But I ended up, I was able to get out of debt. I'd been in debt since I went to that acting school. I had 40 grand in student loan debt then. 40 grand is so small now. But I was in debt, and then I had credit card debt and all that. And then that campaign, I got out of debt. I was able to put money in savings, and then I heard that Apple was going to come out with an iPhone, and I put all my money in Apple stock, ran it up for a year, and then made enough on that. This is part of the problem. And then took that out, and then was able to put a down payment on a house in Laurel Canyon.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That's a nice.
So those are my 2 big stories about money. So I don't have any big ones now.
That's pretty.
I go in to do anime for 150 an hour.
Is there a character that you look back on, and let me ask it another way. Out of the characters that you've done, what would you say is a character that maybe is not as famous, but one that you're really proud of doing?
Oh, shucks. They're really proud of doing. Oh my! I'm not proud of any of my work. No, there's no. There's okay. There's a game. I actually like this one. It was called No, hang on here. I can do this while I'm with you. I can go to my website.
There you go.
Which, by the way, dcdouglas.com. Check it out.
There you go.
A lot of fun playlists. So I'm going to go to video. It's a video game, I believe, and it was called. Hang on here. I'm almost there. Because you know why is because it was a bit of a challenge to do the voice, because I don't, unlike other like guys who do cartoons and stuff like that, I don't do 100 different voices. I've got like 5 that I can
yeah,
tweak it, and that's about it. So this was called Space Run Galaxy.
Okay.
And it's on Steam, and my character is a scientist who's also a monkey.
Okay.
And there's no animation to it. It's one of those games. I guess is it a scroller? I don't know. It's one of those things where like the picture comes up and then you see the dialogue while I'm talking.
Oh, okay.
And it's like you only say some of the dialogue, and other dialogue there's nothing. I don't know what they call those, but the character was like, it was hard to do because I had to do monkey sounds in between my words as I was talking. So that was fun. So I'm really proud of that work. There's another one, like I was in Persona 4 dancing all night. And it is the stereotypical, and I want to say flaming queen, but it's beyond flaming. It's like nuclear energy coming off of the character. And that was super fun to do. So,
okay. And now for the last question.
Yes, sir.
When DC Douglas is not in the booth and blowing his money on stock options, how does he take time out for himself?
That's a weird question. I mean, it's a good question, but I've not been good. I'm never good at taking time out. Like, I hustled for so long from when I first got to LA. I first got to LA and there was like nothing to do in between work and just hoping to get your career going somewhere, to where all of a sudden along the line, all of a sudden life was happening. And it was always about the hustle. So even when I stopped, the first time I felt like I ever stopped for myself was the pandemic. It was the very first time. And it was great. And even then it was like, the only reason I was able to do it is I'm like, I'm off the treadmill, but so is everybody else. So I don't feel like I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
And of course I changed my attitudes after that. So, but right now it's like, unless I live in LA, so it's like everything costs money. So, my time is like to be with my cats, but also I'm blessed in that, I say blessed, but I'm an atheist. But I'm blessed in the fact I'm aware of the fact that I don't have a survival job. That I have since 2002, all I've been doing is making my money from acting and voiceover. And granted, since the pandemic, it's been a lot harder. And granted, I've hurt myself with the stock market stuff. But it's like, I'm still like, I still don't have to go down and get another job just yet.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's like, I don't feel like I need to take, time for myself or do other things. I have no hobbies. I guess my hobby is, website stuff. Everything that has to do with hustling, those became my hobby. So, it's like, and of course, when you're going to relax, what are you going to do? Watch a movie. Well, that's also still it's still part of the career because I'm now watching the acting, who produced it, how was it directed, all of that stuff. So, cats, being with my cat.
Hey, same here. He's at I promise you, if I open this door right now, he is laying right there, and he's gonna be looking like, so you could let me in. No, because the last interview you wanted to be a part of it and you had to sit outside. So,
That's sad.
but
Is this your recording studio that I'm seeing?
Yes, sir.
It looks very cool.
Thank you, man.
Now you've got CDs on there. Do you also do music?
No, so what that is, when my time was up at Madden, every year that the game came out, they gave me a plaque with an actual copy of the game in my name. You know what?
That's really freaking nice that they did that. Nobody ever did that for me.
So it's that, and they have my name as commentator.
Oh my
announcer.
gosh, that's really cool. What a nice. Well, who's the company that you worked for?
EA Sports. Tiburon is the studio in Orlando.
So is Tiburon that would send it?
Yeah, the folks at Tiburon.
That's classy. That is really classy.
So, they kind of gave me, and they still, every now and then I might get a copy of a game or two, on the house, but really great folks. It was bittersweet that the relationship ended, but
everything ends. Yeah.
But the friendships I made there are long lasting, and that's important. So before we go, and you've already told them your website, but tell the fine folks how to find you and keep up with you and all that good stuff.
And that dcdouglas.com, or find me on Instagram, which is MrDC Douglas, Mr. DC Douglas. So, and that's it. You'll find me on the other platforms, but those are auto posts. I'm not actually on those platforms.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's Mr. DC Douglas has joined the show today, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Trey. This was really fun.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do it and spend some time with each other. And like I told you, now that I got your number, I'm going to be stalking you. Like, hey, what are you doing right
You
now?
won't be the first.
Oh man, this has been cool. Hope you guys have enjoyed and learned some things, maybe some things you shouldn't have, but that's okay.
With me, yes.
But we will see you next time. And hey, take some time out for yourself. We'll see you. Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of TMX Creative. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube on the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you soon.